Welcome to Here Comes the Boom, a KSR and KSR Plus recruiting podcast. It's been a busy week in Kentucky basketball recruiting. Two big official visitors over the weekend, and we've got a few more visits coming up. So let's get right into it and talk about this past weekend. Kentucky hosted a pair of five-star recruits, five-star point guard Michael Brown at a DME Academy in Florida, and then five-star power forward Chris Sinak out of Link Academy in Missouri. Two of the best players in the 2025 class. And I know Kentucky, just to recap a little bit, Kentucky has a point guard commitment in Jasper Johnson. He can play the point, combo guard kind of role. And then you have a center commitment in Malachi Moreno. Kentucky's also going after a point guard in Caden Lewis. And then they're going after a power forward in Caleb Wilson. So there is a little bit of positional overlap with these two visitors. But Kentucky is really high on both of them, and they're high on Kentucky. Over at KSR Plus, we had the chance to talk to both Michael and Chris to recap their visits. Starting with Michael, the one downside of the visit was the poor weather, as people in Lexington can attest to. He didn't love to see the poor weather. He didn't really get to go outside a ton, but he did get to go in the gym to watch Kentucky practice, and he got to see how he would fit into that offense. One thing that was a big question for him heading in was what kind of role he could have from day one as a freshman. He obviously sees this Kentucky team full of transfers, an experienced roster, not a ton of freshmen. So he wanted to kind of know if he would be able to play right off the bat. And based on what he saw and what he heard from the coaches, he will get the opportunity to do that. Obviously, Kentucky's kind of shifting their game plan a little bit with this 2025 recruiting class. This year's roster, they had to rely on the transfer portal just because of lack of time to build a roster. Now they have a full year to bring in some recruits, to get some returning guys coming back, and then deal with the transfer portal and maybe bring in a few guys from there. Talking about Chris Sinak, on the other hand, that's a guy that's top 10 in the country, top 5 by some services, one of the best players in the country, no doubt about it. And he came into that visit wanting to build a better relationship with the staff, kind of get to know them a little more. And the interesting thing from our conversation was the timeline for a commitment, because when I talked to him over the summer, he said the timeline was probably in the early signing period, sometime around November. Then after he cut his list in August or September, sometime around there, he was talking about how he's kind of pushing that towards January or February. When I talked to him this week, it was very much in the air. He said it could really happen anytime. It could happen in the fall. It could happen in the spring. He just wants to take these visits first. I know he's got LSU in November, and then he's supposed to visit Arkansas coming up. He wants to visit all of his finalists. He's got a lot of schools on his list, but Arkansas, LSU, Kentucky, those are 3 schools that I'm hearing a lot with Chris, and then Houston as well, who he already took an official visit to. Those are really the 4 schools that we're hearing the most with Chris Sinak. And I like where Kentucky stands, but obviously you have a guy like Caleb Wilson, super high on Kentucky's board. It seems like he's very high on Kentucky. I don't love Kentucky's chances of landing both Caleb Wilson and Chris Sinak, but I think that if Kentucky ends up really pushing for Sinak, they could end up getting him. It'll really just depend on what happens with Caleb Wilson. I think that Arkansas is really a school to watch with how all of this unfolds, being a school that's going after both Caleb Wilson and Chris Sinak, just like Kentucky. I wouldn't be surprised if one guy went to Kentucky, one guy went to Arkansas. But then there's also LSU, who has been rumored to be kind of the favorite for Chris Sinak for a long time. He's visiting them in November, and I expect them to be in contention until the very end. So we'll see what happens with these upcoming official visits. Chris said that he hadn't confirmed that Arkansas official visit yet, but I expect that to be pretty soon. So that's where we stand with these recent official visits. No upcoming official visits scheduled yet, but I expect that to change pretty soon. One guy, Caden Lewis, he will be visiting very soon. Still hasn't announced that date. I don't expect him to announce the date until a week of his visit, but be on the lookout for that because he'll probably be the last big official visitor of the summer or of the fall before the early signing period in November. So Kentucky's 2025 class is really coming into form now. You got the 2 commits already, and then the guys that we're looking at, Caleb Wilson, Chris Sinak, Caden Lewis, Michael Brown. That's really the guys left on the board. We'll see what happens with the point guard situation. I expect them probably to land one of Michael or Caden Lewis. As far as the power forward, I would think that they would have a good chance to land either Chris Sinak or Caleb Wilson. So you got a lot of moving parts here, but I like where Kentucky stands heading into the early signing period. I think they could have a really good case for having the best class in the country. So that's really where things stand. Be on the lookout on KSR Plus. We're going to have tons of new content coming out. We're going to really focus on who Kentucky's looking at in the 26 class now that 2025 is really coming into form. And then we're also going to have updates on official visits coming up. Caden Lewis, we're going to have updates with him when he sets the official visit, and then we're going to have a recap after he takes it. So be on the lookout. And now let's get some insight from On3's national basketball analyst, Jamie Shaw, to talk about some of these guys' games and maybe some new targets that Kentucky could have on their radar. Welcome back. We're joined now by On3 national basketball analyst, Jamie Shaw, to talk about some of Kentucky's targets, mainly in this 2026 class. We've talked a lot before about the 2025 class, but like I said earlier, we're moving on to talk some more about the 2026 class, and who better to do it than Jamie Shaw. Jamie, thank you for joining me today.
Jacob, man, that's always a pleasure coming on, talking with you, chatting it up.
Well, I want to start by asking you were just at that Overtime Elite event, got to check out some of the guys over there. We've already talked about Jasper Johnson, but I want to talk about some of the other guys that Kentucky's talking to over there, starting with Adam Umadush. He's a guard that we haven't really talked about on this show very much, but he talked to you and he said that Kentucky's been in contact. So what are your thoughts on his game?
Well, he's been a noted scorer for a long while now. And that's kind of been his thing that put him on the radar. He's a top 25 player right now on 2026, 150. How he's developed his game, how he's rounded out his game, he's playing all sides of the ball now. He's rebounding the ball well. Even if the shot's not falling, he's comfortable handling it in the half court. He can self-create. He moves the ball, gets off of it. And he's rebounding, playing defense, getting the passing lanes, using his length. He's legit 6'5" or so. He's very skilled, and he's playing with a ton of confidence. He's growing into his physicality, and he's really turning into a well-rounded guard that you like to see at the next level. Yeah, he spoke about Cody Fuger being in contact with him. Spoke with Pope a couple times as well. But that's also what he says that Cody likes about his game as well.
And a guy that you and I have talked about, we did an interview over on KSR Plus about Tay Kinney, Kentucky native, who's now at Overtime Elite. You told me that he impressed you when you saw him at Overtime Elite recently. So what impressed you about his game? What do you see out of him?
Well, he continues to develop. The thing that impresses me the most with Tay's game is the poise that he has. He has kind of a throwback type of game in the point guard, and the fact that he's able to handle, shoot, and pass. He's okay toggling in between being on the ball and off the ball. He's okay getting off the ball, letting it come back to him, and being able to creep from the weak side. He's got great length. I think he measured a +5 or so wingspan during their pro day. He gets the ball to the proper spots. He's got a great pace. He's able to get in and out of his pace, getting to his spots in the half court. And when he puts 2 feet in the paint, he's able to make a play. Nothing's ever rushed with him. He's able to knock down shots. He's got a smooth, clean jump shot that's consistent, and he's able to move the ball around, hit his teammates in stride, properly weighted passes with proper reads throughout the course of a game in the half court. He's taken huge steps through the summer playing with the Wildcat Select program and now into OTE with the poise that he plays with.
And he was originally set to visit for Big Blue Madness, but it doesn't sound like that's happening anymore because he'll be at those Team USA trials. One guy that is expected to be at Big Blue Madness is Anthony Thompson. He's a guy that is ranked highly by the whole industry. Jamie, what do you see out of his game?
What you see with him is upside. You see promise. You see the flashes. It's easy to tell. He's very long, but he's got an underdeveloped body. He's got to put on weight. You can tell that he's young for his class. As he continues to do that, he's got a great skill set. Along with the length that he has that previously spoke about, he's got good shooting touch. He's got deep range. He's got confidence on it. He's able, within 2 dribbles, to get to his spots. As he continues to add weight, it'll come with more pop and more athleticism, explosion and burst. He'll be able to take contact more as he attacks the rim and all that stuff. But as you see the 6'7" nature of his body, the plus wingspan that he carries, and the confidence that he has on the ball, again, able to minimize his game and get to his spots within 2 or 3 dribbles, and the deep range that he has on his jump shot, there's just a lot of upside that he has that's very clear and very easy to see as he continues to add to his frame.
Last guy I want to ask about is someone that I feel like may not be going under the radar in national circles, but as far as the Kentucky interest, Ikenna Ulozi, he's someone that Kentucky's very interested in. He's hearing from Kentucky a lot. Mark Pope went and visited him in September. So he has become a priority for Kentucky in the 2026 class. Jamie, what should Kentucky fans know about his game?
He's explosive. He's highly explosive. Very combustible at the point of attack on both ends of the floor. He's able to guard 94 feet, sliding, staying with, turning his the ball handler multiple times on defense. Offensively, he's a paint touch downhill guard. He plays with a lot of fire and a lot of explosion. Utah prospects this summer. They went to the 3SSB championship game playing against Malachi Moreno in that game. And he just, every setting that he's in, it's undeniable the athletic presence that he brings and the spark that he brings at the point of attack as a lead guard. He's developing the jump shot. He's developing the reads. But with that said, the athleticism is kind of on a different level. The physicality that he plays with is on a different level from his peers, enabling him to consistently be productive on both ends of the court at the most important part of the floor at the point of attack.
Well, Jamie, thank you for joining me today. We'll be staying tuned to all your work. Be sure to check out Jamie's work on On3 and obviously give him a follow on social media at Jamie Shaw 5. Jamie, thank you so much.
Jacob, I appreciate you. Thanks, man.
Let's chat a second about our good friend Andy Ludicky and My Perfect Franchise. Are you a displaced corporate executive or wanting to put your career in your own hands? Or are you an experienced entrepreneur wanting to diversify? Well, Andy Ludicky and MyPerfectFranchise.net can help. Andy is a huge college sports fan and franchise veteran, having owned multiple franchises and businesses. Using his expertise, he helps others find their American dream through a very thorough consultation and evaluation process. Call Andy, put your life and career in your own hands. Best of all, his services are 100% free to you. So what do you have to lose? Find your perfect franchise at myperfectfranchise.net. Final thought, October is here, and it's going to be a big month in recruiting, just like September was. Now it's really about closing out this fall period in a strong fashion. Big Blue Madness is coming up. We haven't talked a ton about Big Blue Madness, but Anthony Thompson, that's the big name to watch at Big Blue Madness, and potentially another 2025 visitors. So be on the lookout for that. Another final thought with all of this is Kentucky has a chance to be the number one recruiting class in the country. They have done a great job throughout the summer, throughout the fall. They're in prime position to land a lot of their top targets, and they already have 2 of their top targets committed. So Kentucky is doing a lot of work on the recruiting trail. They're doing a really good job, and I expect them to close out this class strong. Be sure to subscribe to KSR Plus, subscribe to the KSR YouTube channel. We're going to have so much great content coming your way in the coming weeks. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.